Part 4. Sustaining your creator mindset. Like anything worthwhile in life, the creator mindset needs to be maintained and practiced. Just as a car needs an oil change from time to time, think of the following chapters as regular scheduled maintenance of the creator mindset. Chapter 15. The Disease of Self-Doubt. There's a disease that kills far more people than any illness. It's a disease that lives in all of us, lying dormant and waiting for the right moment to strike. It's a monster that spreads crushing self-doubt. It is the monster that attacks me while I'm writing these words. Is this chapter good enough? Is my editor going to hate it? Should I delete that last sentence? It's a natural disease that confronts everyone, but the creator mindset has several solutions designed to control this monster we call self-doubt. When looked at in the context of the creator mindset, self-doubt is really a disease of inaction. It's a paralyzing form of introspection in which we guess and then second-guess our actions to the point of dreadful inaction. It catches us and prevents us from taking the leap into creativity. It is a disease that leads to a lack of belief in our God-given creative abilities and therefore extinguishes creativity. Self-doubt affects each and every profession, from medicine to manufacturing, from finance to technology. The analytical mindset pushes us to answer in absolute terms only. It pushes us to activate only one part of the mind in the search for an answer. It shuns any creative input that can arise from thinking in a different and unique way. As such, it continues to rob countless people, professionals, and businesses of their potential for the betterment of everyone everywhere. Dr. Kenneth Alexander is the chief of infectious diseases at a prominent children's hospital in the United States. He has established himself as a leading authority on all kinds of pediatric infectious diseases. He studies things such as human papillomavirus and influenza. He gives talks around the world on his unique approach to infectious diseases. To say that he has a lot to lose when it comes to thinking creatively is an understatement. But one day, Dr. Alexander stumbled on a creative idea so radical, so out there, that it just might change the approach to cancer treatment forever. However, self-doubt in his case created a deep worry that any new idea would put his hard-earned reputation at risk. Dr. Alexander was studying the Zika virus, which is carried by a female mosquito. Zika is really dangerous for humans, especially babies. It causes things such as low birth weight, disfiguration, brain development issues, and possibly even death before a baby is born. But Dr. Alexander eliminated all self-doubt and instead looked at the Zika virus as not just as a plague for developing infants, but what he saw was a new cancer treatment that might possibly eliminate cancer. Despite his training and study of infectious diseases, Dr. Alexander took a leap of faith alongside his colleagues, Dr. Tamara Westmoreland and Dr. Griffith Parks. This was not a small leap in thinking. It was a massive and risky leap. But he knew that self-doubt had to be conquered, and thinking creatively has the potential to empower ideas that cannot be seen with the analytical mind alone. Against all odds and with the dedication of his team, he started to use the Zika virus to kill cancer cells in cultures in his lab. And kill cancer it did. More recently, he showed that the Zika virus can kill cancerous tumors in animal models. Once sufficient evidence is compiled, he and his team will begin initial trials to treat cancer in children. What an incredible story of creative thinking, conquering self-doubt to change the world. At any point, Dr. Alexander could have given in to conventional thinking and self-doubt. whereas most of us would have given up because we don't want to risk our reputation or succumb to doubt, he worked creatively to create a breakthrough of epic proportions. Why is this so important to understand? Because where comfort is pervasive, self-doubt thrives. Modernity has brought on a host of comfortable conveniences that are life-changing. In the past several hundred years, the human quest for survival has moved away from being a day-to-day struggle and into the relatively comfortable existence we know today. Where there is comfort, there is an abundance of time to question our actions. And when we question our actions over and over, inaction then drives us away from creativity and into doubt. Today, around the globe, there is no longer a need just to survive. In that abundance of time spent away from dealing with sustenance each and every waking moment, there is plenty of time for self-reflection, self-analysis, and self-introspection, all of which could lead to crippling self-doubt and inaction in terms of creativity. Harriet, our cave woman from chapter 6, didn't have time for self-doubt. Every waking moment was a fight for survival. She moved from kill to kill, from shelter to shelter, from water source to water source. Her only goal in life was to survive and ideally have children. But today, comfort is prevalent in almost every corner of the globe. With all this time on your hands, away from the immediate needs of survival, we are prone to overthink, overprocess, and overanalyze. Self-doubt lies waiting for us to have enough time to think about what we are doing and question it. Over and over, like a vicious cycle of self-attack, we are drawn in with no end in sight. Small doubts begin to become bigger, cracks become valleys, self-loathing becomes the norm. Pretty soon, the fear paralyzes us, and so we do nothing risky, nothing new, nothing creative. As you might have guessed by now, self-doubt tends to live in the analytical. Forever seeing the world as black and white, the analytical mind hesitates to offer a creative gray. All it sees is absolute. With that comes the crushing pressure to get it right, to not make mistakes, to hit the bullseye time and time again, to execute flawlessly. Because that view encompasses so little of our creative potential, it is beyond question that we carry around with us the crushing weight of self-doubt by trying to get it right all the time. Without the creative part of our human condition, we are destined to fail. For example, you can see it play out in schools at all levels every day across the country. Teachers lecture and then ask students questions in hopes that they will receive the right answers. And this system for learning hasn't changed in 100 years. You see, most teachers are looking for the right answer. Not a guess, not a conversation, not the activation of the creative mind, but another example of privileging the analytical part of the brain. This training makes us afraid of being wrong. Our testing methods are the same. We have countless assessment tests that can verify if learning is taking place, but what exactly are we verifying? These assessments are really about how students perform on taking the tests and little else. Our schooling has conditioned us to think that if we don't know the exact answer to a question, we shouldn't participate. We shouldn't guess. We shouldn't make a sound. It does this at the worst possible time in development, during childhood, when the creative mind is supposed to run free and take shape. Because of all this, we've created a gap between where we could be as a society and where we currently are. Of course, I'm not naive enough to think that this is the only reason we haven't achieved more as a whole. There are certainly plenty of other issues that block our way to progress. But the overwhelming power of the disease of self-doubt is such a strong force that everyone is affected by its crippling power at one time or another, probably from a very early age.